Something about the month of December really makes me get into the kitchen and cook and bake, and it has a lot to do with Christmas, obviously. So I was looking through my cookbooks and I came across this. This is a reproduction of the 1914 edition of the Pillsbury Cookbook. It has all the standard things that cookbooks do have, table of contents, weights and measures, proportions, substitutions, all the good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you some excerpts from this book, not the recipes per se themselves, but more the introductions to different chapters. And we'll start with the introduction. Selected Recipes Introduction. 300 practical recipes compiled by the distinguished authority Mrs. Nellie Dooling Gans, who won the Medal of Honor for Perfect Bread at the St. Louis World's Fair, form the main feature of this new edition of the Pillsbury Cookbook. They have been selected more particularly for their value to the busy housewife, who must have substantial, nourishing, and attractive dishes at a reasonable cost and effort, than for their demands on mere culinary deftness. This is but a further application of the principle of selection, which governs in the manufacture of Pillsbury's best flour. Bread and bread making. Good bread is the great need in poor homes, and oftentimes the best appreciated luxury in the homes of the very rich. Compared with wheat flour, all other bread materials are insignificant. Of all the important foods, wheat bread contains the most nutrition. Bread made from Pillsbury's best flour is richer in good nourishment than any other food article that the world has produced. Egg dishes. It takes no Christopher Columbus to discover that eggs have two advantages over all other foods. First, they are procurable nearly everywhere. Second, the most dainty person is sure when eating eggs that they have not been handled. They possess their highest nourishing value in their raw state, and the longer an egg is subject to heat, the harder it is to digest. Eggs are digested more readily when the whites and yolks are thoroughly mixed before cooking. Therefore, in a scrambled state and as omelets, they are the easiest digested. Eggs are at their very best when only 12 hours old. A fresh egg feels heavy and sinks flatly to the bottom in water. They may be kept for months by packing them small ends down in ordinary coarse salt. Each egg should stand upright and not touch another. Game. Since the days of Nimrod, the first hunter, every household has been stirred to its foundation every now and then by a male member stalking in with some wild thing plucked from the forest and demanding that you cook it. Then it is that the faithful wife trembles with emotion. All eyes are upon her. Her ability in the estimation of her husband will rise or fall with that goose. Give me a break. Invalid dishes. The greatest weight is to be attached to the preparation of food for the sick. Oftentimes, the diet is of more importance than the drug. Entire wholesomeness of food, the best preparation possible, and prompt and dainty service are necessary requisites. Do not consult the patient as to the menu, for the various surprises will help to tickle his appetite. First, prepare the tray with a spotless cloth or napkin folded just to cover. Then select the smallest, prettiest dishes from the cupboard, being careful to place everything in an orderly and convenient manner. Serve hot foods on hot dishes, cold food on cold dishes. For feverish patients, cold water mixed with fruit juices is refreshing and beneficial. Where raw eggs are ordered, a warm lemonade into which the well-beaten egg is stirred makes an agreeable change. Care should be taken that the lemonade is not hot enough to cook the egg. Pillsbury's best cereal gruel is most excellent for those needing a food readily assimilated and still full of nourishment. It is non-heat producing and therefore valuable for inflammatory and feverish conditions. Meats. Next to bread, Meat forms the principal food on our tables. We not only eat more meat as a nation, but provide other nations with more than anyone else. Beef, veal, mutton, and pork are the meats of our households. The vast majority of our housekeepers are not sufficiently well informed as to the proper way of cutting up an animal. Hence, they rely entirely too much upon their butchers in the purchase of their meats. It must be assumed that the readers of these recipes are measurably familiar with that part of the knowledge required to be a good buyer of meat at retail. If not, there are more extensive works on cooking for acquiring it. The cheaper parts of a first-class animal may be prepared to furnish far better dishes than the high-priced portions of an inferior animal. In other words, a stew from the forequarter of a first-class animal will be better than a roast from the loin of an inferior animal, and it will be cheaper. Salads. For a very long time, the French nation held first place as the home of salads. Now America has become the land of salads, for the simple but very good reason that the greater variety of fruits and vegetables obtainable the year round enables us to assume the position once held by France. As a nation, we eat too few green salads and too many sweet ones. We should cultivate a taste for wholesome green foods. No absolute rules can be laid down for the making of salads, but as the simpler ones are always acceptable, begin with them and you will gradually become an expert salad maker. The one rule applying to all salads is to have them very cold and to serve them daintily. A few of those liked most will be found herein. You can invent many others, for salads are nowadays made of everything imaginable. Sandwiches. Sandwiches as a distinct dish are specifically English and American. They are used particularly for cold repasts, cold lunches, and especially for outdoor refreshments at summer picnics and excursions. Sandwiches are easily made and require for their perfection only daintiness. Their variety is great and largely depends upon the ingenuity of the maker. Vegetables. Vegetables should first of all be fresh, or at least perfectly fresh. In planning meals, consider the appropriate place for certain vegetables with different meats. Vegetables and the mode of preparing them should be varied from day to day, but any fresh green vegetables served very cold or any well-cooked vegetables served very hot will always be appreciated. Boiled vegetables should be cooked in an abundance of salted water and served quickly as soon as they are done. It is considered a valuable secret by some French cooks that green vegetables will retain their bright color if boiled in an open kettle. Table service. In household cooking, consult the tastes of the family and adapt the menus of the different days to include favorite dishes of each member. With or without guests, a charming hostess may observe a plain and easy style of entertaining. The smaller the dinner, the more surety of its being well planned and served and thoroughly successful. The housekeeper needs not so much technical knowledge as everyday appreciation of what is good and healthful to eat. A poor table may be wasteful. To dine with comfort and pleasure, to promote health, and at the same time to keep the cook good-natured and happy, the diner and the dinner should be ready at the same time. The hot dishes should be hot and the cold dishes always cold. To have your coffee and salad both lukewarm is ruinous indeed. To be original is the gift of genius. Otherwise, originality would be without charm and become commonplace. It is every woman's desire to introduce something new and different from the ordinary in the way of preparing attractive dishes and providing artistic table decorations varied for different occasions. The food, service, and decorations of a simple luncheon are oftentimes remembered far more than those of the greatest banquets. Too much attention can scarcely be paid to the looks of food that we bring to our tables and the way in which it is served. Ice for drinking water should be carefully washed and cleaned before using. Never touch it with the hands, but place in glass with ice scoop or tongs. In preparing fancy drinks of any kind, it is most essential to ornament them with slices of fruit in season. Pretty fascinating. A lot of it would be considered sexist today, but you have to look at the end of the day. It was 1914, different time, different mindset. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.